Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. It's new fragrance time once again, and today we're taking a look at the newest fragrance in the 1 million line from Paco Rabanne, and that fragrance is 1 million gold. Well, I guess technically they're kind of going through a stage right now, and it's not really Paco Rabanne, it's just Rabanne. And it's not really 1 million, it's million. It's like they're going through puberty all over again. They're changing, and we just have to be like, yes, I'm supporting you. Do what you think is right. It's not Paco Rabanne anymore. It's just Rabanne, okay? And I don't want it to be called 1 million. It's million. That's way cooler. Rabanne million. It's simpler, okay? All right, buddy? Sure, man. But yeah, this is the newest flanker in the 1 million line. This one's available in the US at pretty much all the big fragrance retail stores, the typical places that you would buy designer fragrances. I bought mine from Dillard's and it cost me $140 US. As I've brought up a number of times, fragrance prices keep going up, and so at this point, 140 bucks US doesn't really seem like that bad of a price. I'll have this one linked in the description. Feel free to check it out there. And also, guys, as always, here are a bunch of codes you can use to save yourself some money. The newest codes are from JOMASHOP, which those only work on the JOMASHOP app. So download the app and just add whatever you want to your cart. Use those codes, save yourself some money. Also, Max Aroma, the codes have changed, so be aware of that. And also the Oud store, got new codes for that store as well. All the other ones maintain the same. Let's go ahead and take a look at the presentation here, and then we can start talking about the fragrance. And honestly, there's a little bit to talk about in terms of the presentation. So here is the front of the box. I like the look, I like the color scheme. The gold on white looks nice, it looks classy. Got the name of the fragrance, name of the house, size and concentration right there, Eau de Parfum Intense 100 ml. So one of the things that I poked fun at this fragrance for when it was first announced is actually the front here. You can see the name is Million Gold. Not 1 million gold, and it actually looks like 0 million gold. Just like a humongous 0 million gold. And when this was very first announced, the bottle and the box looked like this. The one was nowhere to be found, and the name was Million Gold. And actually, as of when I'm shooting this video, if you go look at Dillard's and some of the other stores that have this for sale, the bottles all do not have a 1 there. They all say Million Gold, the 1 is missing. But I believe it was Sephora. Sephora had a different picture for the bottles, and the 1 was there in the middle where it said 0. So it looks like to me that there's a little bit of confusion on the brand's part about the branding of the fragrance. Because when it was first announced, and again, all over these different websites right now, which they probably are actually gonna change the looks of those pictures that they're using to sell the bottles, but as of right now, all over the place, this is being presented as Million Gold, not 1 million. Is it a huge difference? No, but it does show like, oh, we're kind of moving past the whole 1 million thing, right? But as you can see here, there's a 1 in that bottle. We'll get to that in a second. Let's just keep looking at this. Nothing really doing on the side of the box. You have the R for Rabanne on top of the box. On the back, you have a little info, made in France, 91% natural origin formula, and on the bottom, your batch code and barcode. Batch code 40361. And here is the bottle. Now, like I just said, when this was first announced and all over the different websites, it shows without having the 1 in the middle. But as you can see, my bottle has that, and the picture on Sephora now has that as well. So it makes me question if they originally planned on not having the 1 there, and then when people started to kind of point out how goofy it looked, they went, oof, put the 1 back in, put the 1 back in. Or if it was gonna be this from the get-go. But if that's the case, why name the fragrance Million Gold and have it put out into the world as Million Gold instead of 1 million gold? Again, it's not really a big deal, but it does make you wonder if behind the scenes they were kind of like, oh, put the 1 back in and we'll pretend that this didn't happen. It's 1 million gold now, not million gold. But this is, I believe, how the bottle is going to look going forward. 1 million gold, Rabanne, all right there on the front. It has a see-through glass on the back, which looks nice. It's got a nice dark ridge coloration to the fragrance there. You have the R for Rabanne on top of the atomizer, and then your badge code etched into the glass on the bottom. Let's go ahead and do a couple sprays of the old 1 million gold. There we go. It's about like all the 1 million atomizers. Now we can dig into the fragrance and how it actually smells. And initially, this one actually looks surprisingly divisive. And it's kind of interesting to me even more because my wife and I have two drastically different interpretations of this fragrance. So I guess first off, just how it smells to me and what I think about it. It opens up with a nice, sweet, warm scent profile. Get a good amount of spiciness in there initially, and has like again, a very cozy, sexy, almost cinnamon spiced vibe. Woo. It is pretty strong off the top, so if you spray it on a lot, go in for a whiff right away. It is gonna be a bit like, kind of eye-opening for a second, and has a touch of a scratchiness to it. But again, overall warm, spicy, very inviting, magnetic, strong off the top. So if you do a few sprays, go in for a sniff right away, it's gonna be like eye-opening for a moment there. Has almost a touch of like fruity sweetness when you first spray it on, but that dissipates pretty quickly. You could say that it fits right in line with what's popular right now. You know, right now a lot of fragrances that are very vanilla forward. You have fragrances with caramel, toffee, you know, tonka, all this stuff right at the forefront that's really popular right now. This kind of fits into that style. Does it smell super similar to the original 1 million or 1 million Parfum, any of those fragrances? Not really. You could say it's kind of like in that wheelhouse a little bit of like a 1 million Elixir, but I don't think it goes that sweet. And I'm not saying it's super close to 1 million Elixir or anything like that, it's not. But it's maybe playing more in that ball field than it is the other ones. As it dries down, it becomes more of a woody fragrance, specifically sandalwood. It's really appealing sandalwood, pretty easygoing. So now we can dig into how this one smells, and I'll tell you guys, it's actually really divisive. So people are, at this point, really on two sides with this fragrance. You got a lot of people that hate it, a lot of people that love it. And interestingly enough, that carries over to my wife and I also. So I guess first we'll start with how it smells to me. When you first spray this one on, it's pretty strong. Like if you do a bunch of sprays, you try to go in for a whiff, it's gonna be a little overwhelming, eye-opening a bit. It's got a nice sweetness initially. You get a nice fruity pop. Doesn't last for too long, that fruity sweetness, but you get it there initially, and also warm spices. Kind of a sweet cinnamon is noticeable, and I think it actually smells really pleasant when you first spray this on. Is it anything hyper unique? Not really. Kind of playing in the wheelhouse of a bunch of other fragrances, you know. Right now, very sweet fragrances are popular. Vanilla, toffee, caramel, tonka, sweet spices, like that's really popular right now. And this is playing in that wheelhouse, in that ball field. But in the opening, I think it actually smells really nice. Pleasant, sweet, warm, inviting, sexy. I dig it. As it dries down, that spice lingers for quite a while. Again, kind of a sweet, warm spiciness, but the sweetness fades a little bit the longer as it stays on your skin. And that fruity pop off the top that I talked about, that doesn't last that long at all. As it dries further, you get more of a woodiness that comes out. You pick it up initially, but it kind of becomes the dominant force in the fragrance the longer it stays on your skin, and you get a nice sandalwood that's underneath everything. And it is a very noticeable sandalwood. It's not like a creamy sandalwood, you know, it's not that type. It has like a touch of scratchiness to it, but it still smells nice. And so I was actually really surprised that when I got this in and sprayed it on and thought to myself, oh, that smells good. That is nice. And I looked online and I was like, oh my God, a lot of people hate this. So I had my wife check it out as well. And interestingly, she got a BO aspect from this that I do not. So much so that she was like, is that you? And she smelled my armpits. I was like, no, it's the fragrance. Which, again, it's like TMI, I get it, but still, you need to know with the context of everything, right? So she smelled the fragrance and she was like, oh, that smells like body odor. Is that you? And then she was like, no, that's the fragrance. And I smelled it and I was like, what? I don't get body odor. I get the woods, I get the spices, but body odor. So I went back, sprayed it on again, different spot, and let it settle for a second. Had her smell the opening. Because again, off the top, it's real strong. If you spray this on, go in right away, it's gonna like fry your nose hairs. But I sprayed it on, let it settle for a second, had her smell the opening. She was like, oh, that smells good, I like that. Came back 10 minutes later, smell it again. Oh no, now it smells like body odor. And interestingly enough, I read where some other people were getting a similar vibe. So there's something in here that I don't really get that from, that some people are pulling like an off-putting scent profile from it. I don't imagine that very many people are gonna get that from this. And to be fair, that smelling it up close in the air doesn't come across like that at all. But there's a possibility that you get this, you smell it, and you get kind of a funk going on that you just don't jive with. I don't pick it up at all, not up close, not in the air. To me, it just smells pleasant. It smells like a modern 1 million flanker. And by that, I mean a sweet Paco Rabanne fragrance, because that's ultimately what they usually make. God, it smells good off a strip. I like that. And I like it off skin too, so I don't know. I feel like this is one that at the end of the day, as more people smell it, more people wear it, more people are gonna come around to enjoying it. I think the price is fine. The performance, to be fair, this is first impressions, but it's good too. Really strong initially, and as it dries down, it sits a little closer to the skin, but it's not weak at all. And the longevity is solid too, best as I can tell from the few times I've worn it. Again, it smells banging off the strip. Ooh, nice. And I do want to point one thing out that I agree with actually, and that's the sandalwood in here has kind of a Santal 33 vibe to it. So if you're familiar with that fragrance from Le Labo, it's a really popular niche scent. And the sandalwood in there has a very particular scent profile. And you can pick up some of that in here. It's not right at the forefront of the fragrance, so it's not like punching you in the nose, but it's lingering in the background. So it's one of those deals where you smell it and you get like the spice initially, that little bit of warmth, touch of sweetness that comes through. And then it's kind of like on the back end, on the finish, you get that sandalwood that pokes through and you're like, oh, was that? It was kind of like Santal 33. And the longer the fragrance stays on your skin, the more that comes forward. So initially it's on the finish, in the background, and then once you hit the full dry down, it kind of moves up to being more noticeable, where you smell the fragrance and you get it almost right off the rip. And at that point, most of the sweetness has gone away and it's become more of a woodsy fragrance. So it does go through definite stages, you know, initially powerful, sweet, fruity, spicy, and then more kind of a spicy woody mix with a bit of that sweetness carrying over, but not a whole lot. And then in the dry down, more of the woods taking over, cedar and sandalwood. And I think that might actually be the part that doesn't jive with some people. They kind of pick that up, especially when it's in the background as part of the finish of the fragrance on your palette, if you want to call it that. And they get hit with that and they're like, what is that? Well, that's kind of like BO or something. Because Santal 33 has a similar feeling for a lot of people. They smell that and kind of get grossed out. Some people compare it to the smell of pickles. And again, I personally do not get that at all. But again, if you're the type of person that Santal 33 doesn't work for, this may not work for you. So you're gonna wanna sample this first. To my own personal taste, I like how this smells. I'll wear this during the fall, during the winter, with a smile on my face. I think in the air it smells nice, it smells good, pleasant. I like that it changes from the opening to the mid to the dry down, and it does kind of what you expect a designer fragrance to do, where in the opening it's like a little bombastic, sweet, in your face a little bit, grabs the attention, you know, off a tester strip, smells really nice, so people in stores, they get it, do this deal and go, ooh, I'll take it. And then as it dries down, becomes a little bit of a different thing. Not quite as, you know, youthful in the dry down as in the opening, but younger guys could still wear it. Has good versatility for fall and winter, and overall, I like it. I know I was poking fun at how disjointed the launch and everything seems to be, and a lot of times Paco Rabanne fragrances get hated on because they are bombastic, in your face, really loud, sweet fragrances with gaudy bottles, so they catch hate on their launch a lot of the time. I think this is way better than it's getting credit for at the moment, just as long as it doesn't have one of those like instant nose killer things that you pick up from this. If that's the case, then obviously it's gonna suck for you, but for me, I really enjoy it. So there we go, 1 million gold. I'm not calling that million gold. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.